I know you've mentioned, you have a lot of security, and you're probably moved pretty safe nowadays, and to take care of yourself and the whistleblowers who, don't become public. But if somebody like that wanted you dead, it seems like they would figure it out how to do it.
Oh, sure.
What do you think is stopping them from doing it?
Two things. I have people who have made it quite clear, if anyone on my team or I get directly threatened or hurt, the people running those covert programs, all of them will be killed. I won't have to say anything. So it's sort of what's the old term, a Mexican standoff. And those guys know that, and they know it's serious. And then there's some other things that are in place. I have what's called a dead man trigger, which means something happens to me. There's information I'm holding strategically, deliberately back that will hit the internet, and it'd be the end of this group on multiple levels. So I'm actually better off alive than dead for them, because being alive, they can just marginalize me, defame me, call me names, blacklist me from media. By the way, the mainstream media, the only people they'll allow on all those shows are the people telling all the lies. Because here's another part of this little mystery. Everyone thinks we have a free press. Nonsense. I mean, a show like yours is free. But if you start getting into the big legacy media, CNN, Fox, and New York Times, Washington Post, Time Magazine, I have had people on the boards of these who told me, oh yeah, we have CIA people in there. If something comes up or someone comes up, we will be told, don't cover it. So what we call the fourth estate, and one of the things in our Constitution is the freedom of the press. Well, the freedom of what press? The big press, the corporate press and media is very much corrupt. In fact, I would say that if there was actually a mainstream big media outlet that would take a few weeks to go through our intelligence archive and all the material we have, and they put that out to the public, A, they would get every Pulitzer Prize there is, and B, they would have the biggest story in history. And I've offered that. And there have been people with major, like ABC News, their executive producers for their news magazines approached me. I gave him 35 digital hours of content. And he got back to me, he says, Dr. Greer, they won't let me do this story. And I said, I'm not surprised. So see, I've been dealing with that since the 90s. And one of the myths of the American dream is that we still have a truly free press. The other myth is that we have a free market economy. Oh, so how do you figure we have a free market economy if the most important technologies and scientific discoveries of the last 100 years have been kept off the market ruthlessly, right? And not all of it's a wet works or assassination. A lot of it is some inventor invents some really cool energy generation device, and they're offered, here's $20 million by a corporate entity. The corporation buys it, puts it on a shelf, they've gotten rights to it, and it's never released. So that happens all the time with these technologies. So if you look at this film, The Lost Century, and how to reclaim it, you'll see all the different strategies that have been used over the last 100 years to kind of hoover up, like a vacuum cleaner, all these science and technologies. But given that level of corruption, how can anyone claim that we have a truly free market economy if we're all slaves to oil and to our public utility company and filling up our gas tank or charging our electric batteries off the grid? And let's not forget, I mean, if you have a Tesla or any of these electric cars, and I have 2 electric, but they're being charged off a coal-fired and gas-fired electric grid. 80-85% of that electricity is from very polluting sources. And those lithium-ion batteries are an environmental holocaust if you look at how they're mining them and what it's doing to the earth. So these, I call them pseudo-environmental solutions. Whereas the real environmental solutions, no one's talking about. And if they try to talk about it, they get silenced, they get censored. So this is one of the major problems we're trying to fix, is that we have to bring these technologies out, I think, in the next 2 or 3 years, if we're going to actually transition to a really clean post-smokestack economy. It ain't going to have, windmills and solar, it's not enough energy density to run 8 billion people. If you're rich, yeah, you can put a solar farm on your land, and good for you that you can spend $100,000 doing that. If you can afford a $100,000 Tesla, good for you, but it's being charged off a coal-fired power grid. Not many people are going to put giant windmills on their property. And here's, the other thing is that if you were to take all the battery storage capacity we have for when the wind isn't blowing to store the electricity or the sun isn't shining, it would run the energy needs of the planet for 75 seconds, 1 minute and 15 seconds. That's all we have storage capacity. So it simply isn't going to be a solution long term. Yeah, it helps some right now, but it's really like spitting into the face of a Category 5 hurricane. And there's this huge hurricane of environmental and scarcity and poverty in the world. And, expensive solar and wind solutions aren't going to be it. But these other technologies that are highly classified and have been illegally confiscated, yes, that would fix that problem. It would fix poverty and the environment in one fell swoop. But because it has I think the term is disruptive technology. People think, the iPhone was disruptive or the internet. No, I'm talking, this is like your basic foundation of our entire industrial civilization is run off of a paradigm from the 1800s of oil, gas, coal, nuclear. So how are we going to fix that? We got to just make this leap forward. And it's difficult because there are so many powerful interests. Don't want to see that happen.
What's up? This is Capone. We got more content like this coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Capone News.